Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, June Torres, and today I'm going to discuss a few books. Two of them I've mentioned briefly before in the podcast, but today I'm going to go in several books that I feel as though if you guys are a book reader and you're into science fiction, and I have one that's a horror, all right. And then I have another one that I have not read yet, but it will be a great book to read that I just want to mention also. So the first book that it's funny how do I put it? Like in my mind, this story is already a classic, you know, and that is let me pick it up. Children of Time. Children of Time. The author by which is I can't pronounce it, but it's Adrian Tchaikovsky. I don't know, but the name of the book is Children of Time, and basically this is a science fiction book, and human beings. This is far in the future and humanity of humanity, and basically our technology is we have surpassed what we have today, obviously. And we are terraforming different planets. And the story starts from there. And just basically, even though we have surpassed, space travel and being able to terraform planets, one thing hasn't changed when it comes to us humans. Our different factions and still fighting each other. There's a group, I forget the name of the group, but there's a group that they want things to be natural, okay? And obviously there's another group that wants to continue furthering the human body, right? It's just so many different factions within and it doesn't really go into detail of it, but you just know it briefly covers it in the book. And then basically a war ensues, and pretty much the last surviving humans are now on this spaceship that they call the Gilgamesh, right? I'm saying it right? And now they're looking for, they went through their star map to see where some of these planets that were terraformed. I'm missing some things here and there. But basically, the encounter is when they get to this planet that human beings terraform. Because mind you, it has taken thousands upon thousands of years to get to this planet that they know our ancestors terraformed at one point. And so, but when they get there, guess what? There's already another species there. And so, the author does a great job because you see the story. You see it goes back and forth between the stories. You see the humans and what they're going through in their space travel to get to that planet, right? And then you see the evolution of the species within the planet they're trying to get to. Okay? And you see how, and in the species, I don't want to ruin it, because if you guys pick up I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but the species within that planet, you see the evolution and all the things that they go through to get to that height of I guess the pinnacle of their society, right? So then you see like this, it's back and forth of this. Now it's going to be this clash and encounter with these two different species. You got the human, and then you got the alien species, all right? And then the author does such a great job in being able to go back and forth between the human's journey and then the journey of these alien species, and that whole build up to when they now meet each other. It's fucking awesome. So if you're into science fiction, this is definitely the way to go. And then this is a two-part book though. A two-part story, really, not a two-part book. Two-part story. And the next one, which I haven't finished reading, I got this much left in the book, as you can see. This one really, this one compared to this one, I have taken my time with this one. I really wanted to enjoy it, and I am. Like, because the name of the book, well, first of all, the name of the book is Children of Ruin. Children of Ruin. And so, it picks up where it left off in Children of Time. And again, the author is phenomenal, man, because you're just back in it. And now you're seeing, it's already been a few generations have passed between the encounter with the humans and the species, the alien species, which I don't want to go into it because I haven't finished it, but I also don't want to ruin this book by telling you some of the details of this one. But definitely, man, like, again, he picks up where he left off with this book, and just, wow. Like, the dude is an amazing writer. He really is. So, if you're into sci-fi, and you're into space travel, and aliens and stuff like that, pick up Children of Time, and then the follow-up to it, which is Children of Ruin. And it's a phenomenal story. It really is. I don't know how it's gonna end, but it may end bad. It may not be a happy ending story, but I'm okay with that. I love stories like that. But yeah, definitely pick up this book. Now, if you're into horror stories, there's one that I love, and that is by Stephen King, Cell. Now, this book is pretty old. I read this story, man, how long ago was it? I probably got this when it first came out. And I give you the synopsis in the back. Graphic artist Clay Riddle was in the heart of Boston on that brilliant autumn afternoon when hell was unleashed before his eyes. Without warning, carnage and chaos reigned. Ordinary people fell victim to the basest, most animalistic destruction. And the apocalypse began with the ring of a cell phone. Now, with this one, I do not want to ruin exactly why he called Cell and exactly what ensued. But one thing is for certain, that from the very beginning, the very first page that I read, matter of fact, not even yet, let me see, like what do you call this page? Like, I don't know what you call this part of the page, but then you go into the title, pause, and then it goes into the story. But that beginning part before the title, Stephen King just brings you into the story. And what I like about it so much is, off the bat, this is not one of these horror stories where it's a slow build. No, he goes right into the action, and as you're reading, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Damn, is this the paper from when I bought this? Oh no, this is Stop and Shop. Okay, this is, anyway. Sorry about that, Carlos. But like, you're into it, like, immediately. It's just it's a fast pace and straight to the action, and you're like, as you're reading, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Because, and this is what makes Stephen King, and in particular with this book, what makes him such a great writer, because immediately you're part of the chaos, you're part of what is going on. And then as you meet the other characters and you meet the group that forms within the story as they go through this journey, you become part of that group. You become part of it. You're one of them as you're going through what's happening, and you're trying to figure out what has just occurred, that not just in America but throughout the world, and you're trying to figure it out. And if you're into horror, pick up Stephen King, Cell. I know they made a movie of it with I think Samuel L. Jackson's in the film. I briefly saw it, and I'm like, nah, this is whack. But me personally, I always think that books are way better than TV or film adaptation. It's just the book is better. It's kind of like with Altered Carbon, which is a series on Netflix. I'd rather read this. I'll pick the book all day, every day, because especially when I first saw the first episode of Altered Carbon, especially when he wakes up into his new body and he's on Earth, and he wakes up in that hospital bed and he attacks the doctor. In the book, he doesn't do that. He's a professional. It's the reason why they brought him into Earth. Because first of all, he's not even from planet Earth. Yes, he's a human being, but he was born and raised in another planet. So this is his first time being on Earth. And he's called there because he's a professional. I forget exactly with what military group he's with, but his training and anyone within that group can never hold office, can never be in a position in the government, because they are so highly trained that it is a law for any of these individuals to hold office in government. It's just they can't. And so in the book, he wakes up normally. In the book, he wakes up normally because he's a professional. He's a well-trained soldier. All right. But in the TV show, he attacks the doctor once he wakes up in the body, and it's like, why are you doing that? You're taking away from what he really is. But then again, that's Netflix. I guess people, it's a show, so you want to see the person being a professional, but that doesn't, to me, show. It just shows his physical capabilities, but it doesn't show his mental capabilities, which is the key part of what makes him such a great soldier, and why he's being hired and brought to Earth. Anyone who is within this military group, this is what they are sought out. They are sought after, because it's not that they physically can do things, it's this. And so you take that away when the first scene, he wakes up and attacks a doctor. It's like, come on, he wouldn't do that. But that's why, like I said, I prefer books over a movie or a TV series. With that being said, again, pick up, sell if you're into horror. And then lastly but not least, this book I have not read, but I picked it up, and then I picked it up first. I bought it. I looked at the back of the book, see what it's all about, and then I Googled the book, and I was like, it was a good purchase. And that's usually how I pick up books. Usually I'll go to a bookstore and I'll just randomly, like literally, I just randomly, you know what, let me grab this one, and I'll grab it, look at the back, you know what, this is a book. And so far, except for one book, which is the book Wicked Lies, so far every book I've ever picked out like that, where I just grabbed it, read the back, it's always been a great book for me. I've always enjoyed every one of them, except for one, which is Wicked Lies. Man, Wicked Lies, man, those right, and Wicked Lies is co-authored. That book is fucking whack. That story is fucking, there's no conclusion. You're still trying to figure out what the fuck happened. Man, I don't even want to get into it, because that book's it's fucking dumb, man. But anyways, the book that I'm about to read next after Children of Ruin is History of Madness. And I'll read the back for you. It says here, when it was first published in France in 1961, few had heard of the 34-year-old philosopher by the name of Michel Foucault. By this time of his death in 1984, Michel was regarded as one of the 20th century greatest theorists. History of Madness remains his most famous and acclaimed work. This translation I'll cut. So it's basically, it goes into the history of the human mind. All right, that's why it's called History of Madness. So it goes into basically, yeah, again, the history of the human mind and what causes us to do the things that we do and behave the way we behave. I think there's another book too that I want to read that I have also. It's called Ordinary Men. That's another book that goes into the human mind and what causes a person who's good, who's normal, to society standard, but it's just a good person, and then all of a sudden that same person can now be a vile, despicable person who has done despicable acts, who has tortured and murdered people. Because the book Ordinary Man is it goes into this small police department that became one of the ruthless group to torture and kill the Jews during the whole Hitler regime. Okay, so it goes into, and these men before they did the things that they did, they were normal people with families. And so that book, Ordinary Man, and then again with this one, it just goes into the mind of us as human beings, as people, and it goes into the history of it. So I definitely look forward to reading this book, man. I just can't wait. But yeah, I hope that this was able to give you, if you guys into books and reading, I hope this was able to give you some ideas of what the next book to pick up. And yeah, I think that's about it. Short and sweet. I thank you guys for watching the video. I definitely appreciate it. And again, check out my podcast by the same name, Reason Through Time. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Peace.